Look, jam-packed Monday night, 2 football games in this week 2 Monday window. We'll get to all of that, but for the second time in as many weeks, I'm coming to you on a Tuesday morning after a devastating Monday night football injury. Week 1, it was Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles 4 plays into his season. Week 2, it's Cleveland Browns running back Nick Chubb, Pro Bowler and second-team All-Pro last season, goes down at the start of the second quarter on a Browns scoring drive inside the 10-yard line. As we sit right now, no word on what the actual injury is to Nick Chubb's knee, but we do know, thanks to Browns coach Kevin Stefanski, after his team's 26-22 loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, confirms Nick Chubb done for the year. Again, really putting a damper on what was otherwise a very entertaining night of Monday Night Football. Especially devastating considering, if you know anything about Nick Chubb, this is the second time he's had to deal with a significant knee injury, had his knee completely reconstructed after injuring it during his college career at Georgia. Too early to get into all of the speculation about the future. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. We'll see exactly what the injury is. We'll see what the timetable is. No reason to rush to judgment on that. But just in the immediate aftermath of an injury that was bad enough that the television cameras didn't even want to show replays of it, and I appreciate them for that personally, it just sucks to lose one of the NFL's most entertaining players a game and a quarter into the season. Nick Chubb, second in the NFL in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns since the Browns drafted him in 2018. One of the absolute most entertaining running backs in the NFL. Again, this is a conversation for another day. Fortunately, Nick Chubb has received a major contract during his sterling career in the NFL, but it can't help but bring to mind the conversation from the summer about the value of running backs, how much it's worth to pay them, why teams are reluctant to pay them, and why it's all the more important that they get paid anyway. Again, we'll get to that another time. In the meantime, it's just a massive bummer that the Browns, their fans, and fans of football in general aren't going to get to see Nick Chubb run anymore this season. Guy with impeccable vision, patience, known all over the league for creating something out of nothing, for always getting yards after contact, making the first guy miss. And on top of that, from all accounts, being a very high regarded person in the NFL community. I don't think it's a coincidence that as soon as the injury card came out for Nick Chubb on Monday night, well wishes poured in from across the NFL. You name it. Current stars, fellow running back like Derrick Henry, NFL MVP Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, retired guys like J.J. Watt and Mark Ingram, even NBA superstar and Ohio native LeBron James chimed in on Twitter to wish Nick Chubb a speedy recovery. Again, just a sucky tone to finish week 2 on. It's the exact same type of feeling from the Aaron Rodgers injury where you just kind of feel like the air got let out of the balloon before we got even halfway into this game. Wishing Nick Chubb the absolute best. Hopefully, we find out that this is a normal timetable and something that he can make a speedy return from. He is just 27 years old. Hopefully, got plenty of football left in front of him. But again, sending my well wishes to Nick Chubb on just an especially downer of an injury. All of that said, the show goes on. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeat the Cleveland Browns 26-22 in a game that, aside from the injury, was just a mess of a game. And I mean that in the good and bad kind of way. We probably should have known we were in for a crazy night when the very first snap of the game, Deshaun Watson passed to tight end Harrison Bryant, caroms off about 2 people and lands in Alex Highsmith's arms for a pick 6. It was just that type of game. Browns and Steelers combined for 8 sacks and 6 turnovers. 4 of those 6 turnovers belonged to the Browns. Just a sloppy night for Cleveland. They were trying to improve to 2-0 for the first time since 1993. They were very unsuccessful. And fittingly, as you might guess from the Pittsburgh Steelers, it was their defense and their pass rush that got them over the finish line. Very, very fitting that this game was bookended by 2 defensive touchdowns. Not only does Alex Highsmith get the pick 6 to start this thing off, but the ultimately game-deciding points, the go-ahead points for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a strip sack by Highsmith of Deshaun Watson in the pocket. Ball bounces right fortuitously, like eerily, into the path of TJ Watt, who does the rest, scores his first career touchdown, as if the 2021 Defensive Player of the Year needed any more stats to go on his resume. But I do appreciate this. Everyone in America knows about TJ Watt, multiple-time All-Pro, Defensive Player of the Year, little brother of JJ. We did get a look. I think America at large in a primetime window got a close look at why the Steelers signed Alex Highsmith to a 4-year, $68 million contract this summer. 2 huge takeaways that really swung the outcome of this game. Catalyst in getting the Steelers off of that losing streak and into the win column for the first time this year. I don't know that the Steelers get regarded as a top tier pass rush duo, both sides of the line. And I don't know if Watt and Highsmith is the best in the league, but I think Alex Highsmith is known a lot more to the casual NFL fan on Tuesday than he was on Monday. Plenty more antics in this game if you watched it. Not an overly memorable night for the Pittsburgh offense, although George Pickens gets a 71-yard catch and run. I don't know where the Cleveland safeties were on the play, but that's not George's problem. Goes to the house. Plenty of issues for Kenny Pickett and company. It did look better than it did against San Francisco, but this is probably more work to be done on the offensive side of the ball for those guys. Not nearly as big of a problem as Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. Watson sacked 6 times in this game. I'm not going to blame him for the interception. Bad luck happens all the time, but finished 22 of 40 for 235, under 6 yards per attempt in this game. Had a few very, very nice throws to Amari Cooper, but when a $230 million completely guaranteed contract is hanging over everything you do, this is not what's going to go down as a memorable performance. 2 lost fumbles in this game as well. 2 games, and my memory is not that bad. I know the first one was played in a monsoon, but this is the second time in as many weeks we've seen the Cleveland offense look not overly impressive. And again, moving forward, they'll be trying to replicate that without Nick Chubb. Jerome Ford steps in for Chubb and has a really admirable night. 16 carries for 106 yards with a long of 69. It's a really nice performance from him. I don't know if the Browns look outside to add to that. There are plenty of veterans on the market if they decide that what's in-house isn't enough to replace Nick Chubb. But at the very least, you get a nice performance from Jerome Ford stepping up. We will see how the Browns respond to that. On the flip side, I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention Minkah Fitzpatrick leaves this game as well. Actually, on the long run from Jerome Ford, tries to make a diving tackle, leaves with a chest injury. Again, we can talk all we want about how wacky this game was, but just a bummer to lose Nick Chubb for the season. Hopefully, Minkah Fitzpatrick's injury a lot less severe than that. But when you're talking about one of the best running backs in the game and one of the best safeties in the NFL leaving the game on the same night, just kind of puts a damper on things. I'm sure Mike Tomlin will take it, though. Pittsburgh Steelers improved to 1-1